All right. So, as I like to say with these things, as long as everything is working the way that it should be working, we are now live. So, hello and welcome to everyone who is watching the Written Melanin channel. Wherever this day may have found you, I'm so glad that you are here. My name is Chelsea, and I write books about black girls who aren't all that nice. And this is the Melanin chat. I'm excited to be here, you guys. I always forget to change this back. I always forget to change this back. There we go. Colors we can see. So, we are back with another Melanin chat, and also, I would be remiss without saying Happy Black History Month, you guys. We have made it back around to February once again, and yeah, we're gonna be talking about it. We're gonna be talking about it because there's a phenomenon that happens on the internet, specifically the bookish communities, because that's where we're spending the most time, and it's just kind of like, you know what, this happens every year. And I feel like we should talk about it. But first, before we get into that, shout out to everyone who is already in the chat. So Darian is here, J Monet is here, Ben is here, T.A. Summers, Andy, good morning. Winter Vina, All Day Reads is here. And Felicia is here. Good morning. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're having a great start to your Tuesday. Angels of Power just came in. Said sorry I haven't showing up for a while. I was busy getting ready to join the army. Oh, that's impressive. Well, congratulations. And no worries. I mean, the replay is always here. The replay is always here. And Jay Monet said, like the stream. And I second that. I think you should do that if you're here. So while you guys are coming in and tapping that like button, let's go ahead and get into this Melanin spotlight for this week. Also, Max the writer is here. Good morning. I hope you're well. So the book for today is actually a recent release. It's not brand new. It came out at the beginning of January. And it is called North by Anna Michelle Harris. And this book is new to me, but I am glad that I found it because I can officially tell you guys that if you go to the Melanin Library website right now, we have officially updated the website, making the search a lot easier. You can see the Melanin spotlights at the top. So, if you guys use authors out here, y'all want to take out an ad with the Melanin Library to support it, for sure, do that. Will promote your book for 30 days, and you'll also be supporting the database. But the biggest thing is we now have brought back new releases and recent releases and recently added. So if you want to know what's been added to the database recently, we have a list for that. If you want to know, which books came out in the last 30 days, there's also a list for that. And the search in it has become so much nicer, you guys. It's so much nicer. You can now do multiple, I don't say multiple factors, but that you can now search through the books through multiple elements. So if you want a young adult book and a romance, you can do that now versus having to be stuck with either going to young adult or romance. So everything is organized so much nicer, and that's actually how I found our Melanin Spotlight for today. This is a recent release. It came out on January 6th. If you guys are interested, I did remember to put the link down in the description box when I set this up, so it's already down there. But yeah, slight plug to go check out the new and revitalized site. And also, I'm really excited because the children's site is now separated from the regular site. So no more clicking through multicultural and coming across a children's book when you're looking for an adult one, or vice versa. So Ben is always coming through with a link, so it's in the chat. Feel free to click on it. And also shout out to La, who came in. Good morning, love. I hope you're doing well. But that being said, let's actually talk about this book. So again, the link is down in the description box below if you want to read the description. But the description from the back of the book reads, "A boy who can heal from any injury is destined for a lot of suffering. Kai is orphaned and illegally trapped in slavery. As someone who's lost everything, nothing is as annoying as a spoiled rich girl who walks into the path of his crossbow when he's trying to hunt. A girl with a murdered father and absent mother has to deal with... A girl with a murdered father and absent mother has a lot to deal with, especially when Kara is a princess whose uncle wants to trap her in a political marriage. But Kara is a fierce warrior determined to prove her worth as she helps her kingdom defend containment attacks from the north. Kai's sharp weapons skills and rapid healing power make him just the fighter Kara needs. In the beautiful South Kingdom, Kai's chance encounter with the royal children leads to a very different kind of fairy tale. Life at the palace means danger, prejudice, and political intrigue. But when Kai suddenly disappears, will Kara risk everything to save Kai and her kingdom from the Queen of the North? So it's honestly, it sounds interesting. I read a different version, so yeah. Note to Ben, we need to update the description on the Melanin Library website. But the point is, the book itself sounded interesting. I looked at the read inside sample, and honestly, I'm intrigued, you guys. I am intrigued. One thing that I like is when the inciting incident is like straight up, like right off the bat. And the inciting incident is like first page. Like look inside first page, you have the inciting incident. So and I was actually, as I was reading through the look inside feature, I was like, oh, I could actually see myself going through this and actually reading this. So it's piqued my interest. If it piqued yours, then y'all already know how to go about getting it. But like I said, this book is called North by Anne Michelle Harris. It just came out. I'm not sure if it's indie published, but it's definitely a small press. It's one I've never heard of at the very least. But that being said, you guys, we have to have this discussion about Black History Month, okay? Because again, this is something that happens every single year when February rolls around. And if you want to know like exactly what I'm talking about, there are like examples literally all over the internet and social media. Also, Uzumaki is here. Good morning, love. I hope you're doing well. There are examples all over the internet, but I dropped a link to one in particular where it's just like one person kind of summed it up kind of nicely. And it's like, okay, Black History Month rolls around, and as a Black author, it's like, cool. I know that I can move product in this month because people are going to be buying it. But the issue is it feels so fake. It feels very pandering-ish. It feels very like, oh, I'm only going to read Black authors during this 28 days. And it's more, I saw somebody on the internet use the word or the phrase virtue signaling, and it feels more like that versus actual support. It feels like, oh, I'm doing this because it's the right thing to do, and I know that I can get a lot of clicks and engagement during Black History Month if I do this, or I recommend these types of books or these lists. And the issue is, it feels so disingenuous as a Black person, as a Black author, as a Black reader, as someone who has a bookish platform online. It just feels very much like, I don't know, February is like the month that I'm like, I just want to take a step back. Because I talk about Black books all year long. That's all I talk about, and I'm going to continue that. But it's also like people who never ever 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 read Black books, or the other issue is they will buy the books, but they will never read them. They will just sit there, and then they will use it as, oh, I have this book on my TBR, and that book will be on your TBR for like 10 years. And it just feels so like, okay, what are we doing? What are we doing? And why is it that these books only get talked about? If there is, in my mind, and I know this is me just being like, I don't want to say a problem, but I know it's just me being a problem. It's just like, okay, if these books are so good, why are you not talking about them all the time, right? Why are you not reading diversely all the time? If you're going to make a point to be like, you need to diversify your bookshelf, you need to read this, you need to do that during Black History Month. Okay, where are you on March 1st though? Where are you in April, May, June, July, the rest of the year? You know? And it's just like, everybody wants recommendations. Everybody wants to make a list. Everybody is like, oh, you should read this. And honestly, it's getting to the point where it's just like, it's these same book recommendations and these same lists over and over and over and over again. And it's just kind of like, as an indie author, I'm always grateful when somebody puts me in a list, because it's like, okay, cool, my reach is going further. I appreciate that, right? But also, as an indie author, I am aware when these lists do not include an even mix of indie authors to traditionally published authors. And it's also, especially because I write in fantasy, it's kind of like, okay, I notice if the majority of the lists are those really popular books that came out around the 2020, 2021, you know, and it's just kind of like, I don't even say no one talks about these books anymore, but to a certain extent, it's just like these books aren't even I don't say they're not in the spotlight because the purpose is to highlight books, right? But it's like these aren't even recent books. These aren't books that have a lot of hype behind them. These aren't books that are like really popular within the bookish community. So it's just like you're just throwing it on this list because it has a black girl on the cover. And it just feels so disingenuous, and it feels like they're it's being done to be like, "Oh yeah, we support you." But then it's just like, but if you follow me or if you engage with me, it's only for this 28 days, not even a full 30 days. It's just the 28 days of February. So it's just kind of like, what are, again, as a black person, as a black author, as a black reader, as a person with, a very bookish, black and bookish space. Wait, what am I supposed to do with that? What am I meant to do with that? And I don't put out recommendation lists anyway. That's just not my bag. That's not what I do. That's not my thing, right? Mostly because I'm like melanin awareness. I want you guys to know that these books are out there. I want you to know that if you want something specific, you can read that. And especially for black readers, it's like you can find representation. That was the whole purpose of starting all of my platforms. It's just like these books exist, and you shouldn't have to sacrifice representation in stories that you read simply because you want to read a specific type of, you want to read a romance, or you want to read a thriller, or you want to read a sci-fi, or you want to read a historical romance. Like, you shouldn't have to sacrifice seeing yourself in the pages simply because that's the kind of book that you want to read. And that's why I create the platform. And I try to take a step back from giving recommendations because I'm like, I'm an author. I write more than I read, and I know this, but it's also like there are other people who really love to read, who really have strong opinions, and I am a tough critic, and I know that I'm a tough critic, and it's just kind of like I will leave the recommendation list to someone else, but if you need to know about a book, if you need to do your own research, because that's something that I believe in. I believe in being informed. If you're willing to do your own research, I got you. Like, I can give you a list of books. Now, I'm not going to tell you whether or not you should read it. I can tell you if I liked it or if I haven't read it. But I can't be like, oh, you should read this. And I feel like during Black History Month, there's a lot of, you should read this and you should read that and you should read this. And it's just like, have you read it? Or are you just going based off of what somebody else has said? That is the question. That is the question. And if you did read it, did you leave a review? Did you actually do what is necessary to support this author? Or are you just talking a good game instead of walking a good walk? I would like to know, Okay, looking at the comments, J. Monet said, I block every person who asks for Rex. I saw an 8x11 on Threads saying they were posting a daily updated list of Black books all year long. I think it's reasonable to say that you can update a recommendation list daily with new books, especially if you're only doing a set amount. But it's like, if you don't do that year round, if you're not reading these books, if you're just doing this for clickbait, respectfully, you can get lost. Okay? You can go back to X or wherever else social media platform you want to be on. But I just, no. What's the point? And that's the thing. What is the point of doing that? It gets lost to me. It gets lost. Let's see here. They want attention and clout, and they don't even make lists that are relevant to Black history. And that's the thing. A lot of these lists are not even themed. They're just, this is a Black book. And it's just like, okay, but why are you telling me about it now? Right? Like, Black History Month, everyone's going to be looking for books by Black authors. Why are you telling me about it now? You know what's really helpful? If you were to present this list and like, I don't know, March, April, July, September, when people are not as active and aware looking for Black authors. That's when you present this list. But like, what is the goal for now? It feels very surface level. It doesn't feel genuine. Also, Timothy is here. Hello, welcome. Morgan is here, and Sierra Reeds came in as well. Hello, good morning. I hope you guys are doing well, doing amazing. Let's see here. Bina said, I'm tired of seeing people retweet graphics of Black books on my timeline that were posted by white folks. Yeah. And when you're someone that reads diversely all the time, this kind of behavior is odd and off-putting. It's that. It feels like you're not normally here. It feels like, how do I put this? What is the best way to put this? I don't know. It feels like a club, and it's like you show up to every meeting and you're bringing snacks and you're organizing events and you're letting people know, and it's just like, yeah, no, like you have a couple people who show up, like the club is solid, but there are 100 people on the roster and like 20 people show up to the meetings, and you're just like, okay, cool, that's just what it is. But then when a free event happens and it's just like, okay, there's going to be food and there's going to be drinks, all of a sudden all 100 people who don't ever come to the event suddenly want to show up, and they want to make plates and they want to drink and they want to mingle. But then when it's time to be like, okay, let's clean up, let's go ahead and start planning our next event, let's do this and this to get back to the community, they're like, yeah, we should absolutely do that. And then you never hear from them again. That's kind of what it feels like when it's just like, I'm here all the time. We're doing work all the time. And you just kind of pop in when it's convenient. And that's annoying. It's really annoying. You know? TA Summers is here. Also, I want to give a special shout out to TA Summers and All Day Reads, because they joined the channel. So if you guys see the little Melanin Library logo next to them, that's because they joined the channel. You can also join the channel for $5. Just throwing that out there. Just throwing that out there. That being said, TA Summer said, it gets frustrating because I'm also looking at people's lists to look for things that I haven't read, and it's one of the reasons I do retrospectives. And I think that's also it. I see, like, let's be real here, and this is no shade towards any author, right? But I'm kind of tired of seeing lists that are recommending Legendborn, Bloodmark, and Oathbound. It's like, okay, I get it. Tracy Deonn is fantastic. She has her whole series. That's wonderful, but she is not the only Black author writing fantasy. You know, I'm seeing Blood at the Root, but the ones that kind of get me is when I saw A Blade So Black on a list, and I was just kind of like, that's an interesting recommendation, because I know that book has been out for a long time, and it wasn't one of the darlings of the internet, I'll say, right? So it's just kind of like, cool, but have you read it? I'm just curious, have you read it? Because the other thing for me, I guess, and maybe I need to take some of my own advice and actually start putting together some lists and some books, and not necessarily call them recommendations, but just like things to look into on your own. But I would love to see lists with more indie authors, because if we're talking about Black authors, most of us exist in the indie author space. So if you're putting together lists and it doesn't have a single indie author on it, it's just kind of like, what are you putting forth, right? And it's like, are you reading them? Are you doing the research? Because if all you're telling me about are traditionally published books, well, I don't say everybody already knows about them anyway, but the people who read Black books likely already know about said book, right? And those are the books that are going to get promotion all year long. If you're going to, I guess this sounds so bad. But I'm like, if you're going to pander, at least pander to the community that actually could use the support, and not just the people who get support all the time. You know, do a little bit of effort. Because other thing is, like, you have 365 days to prepare for, well, not 365 because technically the 28, but whatever. You know that February is coming. So especially if you're the type of person who plans your content, it's like you have all of January to do the research and prepare for this. This is not something that blindsided you. It's not like you just hit February like, oh my God, everybody's posting about Black books, maybe I should do this. It comes around every year. This happens every year. And I think that's the part that's also frustrating. It's just like every single year I see a list with Legendborn on it since it has come out. And I'm just kind of like, okay, all right, what else we got? And if we're talking about adult fantasy, I guarantee that the 5th season is going to be on there. The Broken Earth trilogy is going to be on there somewhere. And again, no shade to N.K. Jemisin. It's just kind of like, okay, yes, this is one of the most popular books that you could find by a Black author in the fantasy space. You're not really adding to the conversation. You're regurgitating the conversation at this point, you know? Let's see here. Ben said, unfortunately, there are a lot of people who only buy Black books in February. Then they don't even read or talk about those books ever again. The boost of sales is nice, but reliable sales are better. That part, especially coming from an author, it's just kind of like, you know, it'd be great if these sales led to people reading the book, led to people telling other people about the book, led to reviews, led to, okay, yeah, I had a spike in February, but I saw a steady uptick for the rest of the year, because not only did these people get the book and read the book, but they continue to do the work. I would love it if it was like that. And I feel like as a community, we really need to address this, because especially in 2025, it's just kind of like, why are we not doing better yet? Why are we still doing the exact same things that we did before? you know? Also, Deja is here. Hello, good morning, love. Let's see here. T.A. said, I'll talk about Walter D. Myers, Virginia Hamilton, Sharon G. Flake for YA, or Donna Hill, Zuri Day, Shirley Hallstuck, etc. for Black romance. That is the fact that there are so many people and so many names out there to be included in the conversation that are just never making it. And it's just like, if we're talking about romance, we can talk about more than like Beverly Jenkins and Kennedy Ryan and Talia Hilbert. Okay. Like, there are so many more people writing. And honestly, maybe next year I'll organize a challenge where it's just like, okay, 28 days of indie authors, right? And it's just like, maybe that's something I could organize. I don't know. This is like a brand new idea that's like coming to me right now. But I was like, what if the Melanin Library organized, like, I don't want to say a book tour, but what is the opposite of a book tour? Where it's like, instead of getting a book, you're organizing people to talk about books. But it's more like, let's talk about a book that isn't on the bingo card, the opposite of a bingo card, right? Like, we're not going to include Tracy Dion because she's going to be in everybody else's list. We're not going to include N.K. Jemisin because she's going to be in everybody else's list. We're not going to include Kennedy Ryan because she's going to be in everybody else's list. Like, the real popular authors who's going to be in everybody else's list. Like, okay, let's talk about Black romance, but let's talk about it without, I don't know. Maybe instead of a bingo, it would be a taboo. And each category would have like 5 authors that you can include in your recommendations. I feel like that would be really fun. And I feel like that would actually be really helpful for the community if people signed up for it. I mean, I feel like that would be enjoyable. Yes. Is that just in my head? I don't know. Let's see here. The engagement never lasts past February, and it's so annoying when all these other mid books get engagement incessantly. Yes, that part. Also, Locked Booktician is here. Hello, welcome, love. I hope you're doing well. It's been a while since I've seen you. I hope you're good. Underrepresented Black Indie Challenge. That. I don't know if I would call it that, but for sure something like that. So that's a great idea. I'm doing my own alphabet challenge with Black authors only for the whole year. Ooh, that's dope. Where are you posting it? Is it like a specific social media, across all your social media, blog? Let us know. Do you have a link? I'm going to give you a wrench. So if you have a link, drop one. But yeah. Let's see here. And if we're going to throw in backlist, let's reach back beyond 2018 YA. Honestly, like, I feel like there are so many challenges, and I'm like, this is just me, but I'm like, there are so many lists and challenges that could be organized that are not being organized. Because, like, why not have a decades challenge? Like, they have throwback days in high school. Let's have a throwback list for Black authors. Like, okay, here's some authors who were popular in the 80s. Here's some who were popular in the 90s. Here's some who were popular in the early 2000s, like prior to 2010. You know, here are the authors who were at their peak from 2010 to 2020. Like, let's actually start doing this. I would love to do that. I need more time in my life, but I would love to do something like that so that authors are actually getting their shine and not just being like, yes, either you are incredibly popular for your entire life, right? And you become like a staple, or you put out a book and nobody ever talks about it again. That's crazy. Let's see here. Black Canadians are also celebrating Black History Month, but I keep seeing lists with African authors and Black British authors. Yeah. I think that's also part of it, where it's just like Black History Month is like, yes, everyone, but also it's Black America, right? Black Americans. And I don't know. I think the thing that gets me was the specific thread, I want to say, I think it was on Thread. The specific thread that I saw was asking for BIPOC recommendations during Black History Month. And it's just like, no, you can't just throw everyone into it. Like, yes, read diversely, right? We encourage that. But also, it's not BIPOC History Month. It's Black History Month. And there's nothing wrong with saying Black History Month. And there's nothing wrong with saying Black books by Black authors. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's just this idea that we have to share the spotlight with everyone else, you know, just in the world. We can't just have something that's for us. And it's not, I feel like in some ways it's like, oh, that sounds so selfish. Why wouldn't you want to share? But it's also like, we have 28 days. We have 28 days to be in the spotlight. And even while we're in the spotlight, a lot of it is not genuine support. And then you're saying that of that small percent of that's genuine support, we're supposed to share that with everyone else. And it's just like, there's no hate, there's no shade, but it's just like, okay, but when do we have something for us? When do we have something where it's just like, yes, pay attention to us and what we are contributing? Because we contribute a lot, because a lot of things that people like are cherry picked from Black culture, but that's a whole other conversation. But yeah. Let's see here. Timothy said, off topic, if that's okay, finished Death Among the Stars. I can't wait to see how it continues from there in the future. Amazing job. Thank you. So if you guys are just popping in or have never heard of The Lady Widow, Death Among the Stars is my novella. It released last week, January 28th, and it is the first book in an ongoing series about a grieving widow who becomes an intergalactic bounty hunter to avenge the murder of her husband. And I'm really excited about it. It is currently in KU if you want to pick it up, if you want to give it a try. It's a novella, so it's a really quick read. And it does deal with grief with a little bit of murder. So go into it with appropriate expectations. But I'm really excited about it. KU has been an experience, but I feel like that's also a slightly different conversation. But if you do want to read it, it's not going to be in KU forever, so I suggest you go ahead and get into that. And of course, I have signed copies, so if you want that and a little Gloopin sticker, and if you don't know who Gloopin is, you have to read the book, but he's adorable. Yeah, you can get it from me. There's a link down in the description box below, so feel free to get into it. But yeah, let's see here. Locked Petition was like, I love backlist books. I'm already reading some stuff from a long time ago. And I feel like that's the point. The thing is, when a book is good, it stays good. It doesn't just become bad simply because it's not the newest, flashiest thing on the internet. And I wish sometimes we could like remember that. Like, it's okay to read a book if it didn't come out in the 2020s. Like that's fine. You can read a book from 2018. You can read a book from 2012. You can read a book from 1987 if that's what you want to do. You can read a book from whenever. That is the beauty of literature, okay? Like, it's in print. It's still there. As long as you can get your hands on it and it's still in a language that we can understand. Language hasn't evolved beyond that point of understanding. You can still read it and you can still enjoy it. And the beautiful thing is there are so many books that you could still read it. There's so many books that you could still read for the first time, to be settling on a mediocre book that just simply because it came out last week. That's like, I don't know. That's just crazy to me. That's crazy. Why are we doing that to ourselves? Let's see here. Sierra said, I did a YouTube video about it on my channel and just started my Substack so I could post it there. Dope. Yeah, please drop a link. I would love to check it out. Especially Substack. I've been hearing a lot about Substack in the recent days, and it keeps popping up. It keeps popping up. Ash is here. Good day, ma'am. I hope you're doing well. Let's see here. That's exactly why I do retrospective, seeing authors get their flowers in the spectrum of Black authors who don't get talked about as often today, and some are still writing. It's that part. I feel like it's that moment when it's just like you listen to a song from like a long time ago. You're like, oh, this is so good. What happened to this artist? And it's like that artist is still making music. It's just that they had that one really popular song that everybody knew. And then because none of the other songs got that popular, it was just like, oh, they just stopped making music. It's like, no, they're still making music. I feel the same way happens to authors, where it's just like you have that one book that catapults you to stardom, and then that's it. Like, nobody really pays attention to you after that. I feel like it's really hard to replicate that kind of popularity multiple times over, if that makes sense. And it's not for lack of trying. It's not for lack of trying, because I know that there are several authors who wrote really popular books in the early 2000s who ventured out to write other things, and like nobody read them. Nobody read them. They never reached that level of popularity again. I would even argue to say that at least the one that I read was arguably very bad. It was really bad. But I digress. And Jay Monet is absolutely right. People hate saying Black. I don't know why. I don't know why. They like to say BIPOC. They like to include everyone. It's just like, no, sometimes it's just Black people. That's okay. Sometimes it's just Indigenous people. That's okay. Like, you don't have to lump all of us together. Like, those letters stand for individual groups of people, and it's okay to identify them separately. Like, it's fine. It's fine. Let's see. We need to stop lumping all non-white folks together in every scenario. It's done more harm than good in a lot of instances. For sure. Especially since we have seen very recently, in very recent history, that everybody, everybody don't like being lumped together. I'll just say that. It's not like being lumped together does not bring camaraderie. I'll say it's very much still a us versus them thing, but now we just have to share. It feels very much like, I don't know. I wouldn't even say siblings because siblings get along, but it feels very much like, I don't know, like I have to get along with you, but also if I could kick you off of this boat to make more room for me, I would do so in a heartbeat without even thinking about it. You know? Let's say you can read diversely any other month, but Black History Month is for Black people. Amen. I saw some BIPOC mess, and it's so annoying that folks understand other cultures' month, but ours we have to share with everyone. Yeah. It's ridiculous. Reading backlists and buying them is one of my goals for this year. And I want to see more Black cookbooks shared too. Yeah. The thing is, I also feel like during Black History Month, we also get, at least on my feed, and it might just be because of what I'm interacting with, but it's almost like always fantasy and very heavily permeated, like specifically YA fantasy, right? And I'm just kind of like, how did this come about? Because even like with YA romance, I'm like, there's a whole slew of Black authors writing Black romance. And I'm just like, there are ones that are coming out. There are ones that have already been written. Where are those lists? Where are the thrillers? Where are the sci-fis? Because where are the novellas? I feel like it's specifically like long fantasy novels. And I'm just kind of like, there's such a variety of books and stories out there to tell. How do we all decide? Engagement. That's why I answered my own question. Because if there were lists of cookbooks, I wonder how many people would actually engage with those posts. You know? I would wager probably not as many as people would like. I'm working on buying more and not just the celebrities. Now that makes sense. I have a couple of cookbooks, but none that I would tell you to go buy. Having made a couple recipes from them. It's so much easier to other folks that way. Yeah. And some of these folks being lumped into BIPOC are still white, but that's another combo. Ooh. Yeah. Just because other cultures have white people. I don't know why this has become like a hot topic, but like other cultures have white people. It's not just America. Like that's not. There are other people who from other cultures who benefit from white privilege. So yeah, colorism has been a thing in pretty much every culture for as long as history, for the most part. Whew. I feel like it's the engagement because of folks who were hyper focused on Afrofuturism but barely understand what that is. Okay. I saw a post recently, so I haven't seen her in the chat today, but shout out to Deja because in case you guys don't know, slight context for what I'm about to say. There's a Discord server that I also run. I have several Discord servers, but other than the after chat, which is specific to the Patreon and the Discord, I also run the Melanin Network, which is a safe space for Black writers, and we come together and write. At least that's what we're supposed to do. It's kind of quiet right now. I am gonna hold you, but we do also share like good news like release dates and things, but and also resources. And of those resources, one of the ones that Deja shared recently is a upcoming like short story submission period for an imprint. And it's like, okay, cool. They're putting together an anthology, a collection. Looks pretty dope. But one of the things that I actually did appreciate is because they, when they were going through talking about the kind of stories they were looking for, they talked about Afrofuturism versus African futurism, right? And it's one of those things where I feel like so often, one, the bookish community and the writing community as a whole kind of throws around terms that we don't really feel comfortable with a whole lot, but we just kind of accept it as like part of it, like speculative fiction. For the longest, I was just like, okay, what is speculative fiction? How is that different from like fantasy and everything else? And it's just like, oh, okay, nah. Speculative fiction is like the umbrella term for everything that has from magical realism all the way to, you know, third world, second world fantasy, whatever you want to call it. But I feel like Afrofuturism and African futurism are also two of those things, especially with a really popular author who's very, very, very radically stringent upon the difference between those two things and what it is that she writes, right? And so it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, Afrofuturism is Black people, right? And that also includes Black Americans, the diaspora, right? African futurism is African based. It's like in Africa, based around the cultures there. And I feel like it's one of those things where, especially outside of being Black, so many people are like, oh, well, isn't it the same thing? And it's like, it's not. It's not. That's kind of like saying that, you know, white people in South Africa have the exact same culture as like white people in like Switzerland. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. Even if way back in the day they lived in the same place, they've been in different places for so long, they have completely different cultures and expectations and norms, and you can't just say that they are the same thing. They are different. They are different. But I feel like when people get hyper focused, like Winter said, on Afrofuturism, they want to start throwing everything into it. And it's another one of those things where it's like, no, this is for us. These are our stories. And I don't know. I feel like I get to a point where it's just like, I would very much prefer it if we could just be clear about these terms, because the other thing that I feel like is odd about this bookish space, especially during Black History Month, is the fact that we can't, it's like almost taboo to provide clarity for any of these things. It's like we can't sit here and be like, no, this is what we're talking about, this is the conversation, and anything else is outside, it falls outside of that purview, it falls outside of that. And we're not going to center those conversations, right? But also the internet is such a interesting and wild place. It's just kind of like, if you try to say, be like, okay, I hear you, but I'm not talking about that right now, they'll be like, well, why aren't you talking about that? It's like, it doesn't need to be talked about right now. It's not the focus. It's not the point. You're missing the point. And yeah, it's crazy. It gets crazy. I don't know. I hate that Afrofuturism versus African futurism combo. Only Nettie really pushes it, and what separates them is semantics. I would say, I don't know, I'm neutral on the conversation because I follow other Nigerian sci-fi fantasy authors who don't subscribe to that. I think it depends on, again, I think it depends on the definition and the fact that so many of the terms that we use get convoluted because there are some really loud people who demand that they be different. And then there are also people who will see one term and then try to interpret it as something else just so that they can be included. And I'm just like, I think it would be a lot simpler, because the thing is, I can understand if an African author wants to note that their things are African futurism, right? Like, I can't take that away from them the same way that as a Black person, I'm like, I am Black, okay? Like, I'm not BIPOC. I'm not lumped in this other thing that makes it more convenient for you. This is my identity. I get to be clear about how I want to, I don't say be identified, but I get to be clear about how I would like my identity respected and presented, especially when I'm the one doing it, right? So I would never want to be like, nah, you can't say that this is different. But also, I feel like the term Afrofuturism is all encompassing in a way that African futurism is not. And it's just kind of like, I don't know if we need the delineation, especially when it's already confusing enough. But that's just my 2 cents, because I'm good with just being included in Afrofuturism. Like, I'm good with that. That's fine. That fits. I can work with that. But I also can't tell someone who is African that the delineation that they want for themselves is inappropriate, right? I don't know. I feel like that's one of those things where it's like I kind of have to stay in my lane because I don't identify with that, you know? Let's see here. Who Cloned Tyrone is a perfect example of Afrofuturism. I need to watch Who Cloned Tyrone. I still have not seen it. But I'll add it to my list of things to get into. But I also get confused about, because the thing is, when I hear the part of futurism, of Afrofuturism, I automatically think like sci-fi, right? I think like technology and things like that. But I'm also pretty sure that it includes just like fantasy and things like that. But I'm also like, where is the line drawn where it's like, okay, this is no longer Afrofuturism, this is something completely different. I'm really not good at like labeling things as genres. That I have to give a huge shout out to Tatiana, because she's the one who's like, well, nope, it meets this and this expectation, this trope, so this is the genre that it goes into. She's really good at that, so shout out to her, because she's the one who definitely keeps me on track. But whether it's Afrofuturism or not, I'm going to use this moment to plug the Magic and the Melanin Anthology. In case you guys don't know, it comes out in like 2 weeks. So if you have not pre-ordered your copy, please go ahead and do that. So it is an anthology it's got 14 Black authors, all writing adult fantasy. And there are also 8 full page artwork included, also by Black authors. Black artists. And we are working on an audiobook as well that's narrated by Ruthie Bowles, a Black audiobook narrator. So everybody who worked on this project, touched this project, is a Black artist or creator in some way, and purchasing it will not only support these authors, it will also support the Melanin Library. So get into it. And if you get it from us, specifically the Melanin Library, you get these beautiful cards. They came in yesterday, you guys. So this one is from my story, We're Going on a God Hunt, and the art is by Carissa. It looks so good. And on the back, you get the story for Laws, which is I Think I Want to Kiss a Sister, which is a sapphic mermaid romance. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And that art is by Destiny, so if you guys are interested, you can support the artists. They are tagged in the Melanin Library posts about it. I will also, if I remember, drop their links down below. But if you want one of these, we have 100 of them. So the first 100 people who pre-order the book from us will get it. And we are more than halfway through that, just so you guys are aware. I think we have like 30 slots left. Maybe at this point. So if you guys want one of these, get on it. Tell a friend. So I'm excited about it. It's coming through really quick. Like, February is breezing by. The fact that this anthology has been in the works since last year, and it's like a whole book that you can hold and read and everything else. It's just like, it's wild to see how many Black artists and authors and just creators have come together to make this happen. It's wild, but it's great. And it's what gives me hope about all of this, and why I guess this year I'm extra susceptible to, like, y'all not really about this when it comes to Black History Month, because it's just like, I've seen and worked with people who are really about supporting Black authors and Black books. And I've worked with people who are like, yeah, I'm on board, and then like never hear from them again. They don't stand behind what they say. So the authors, in this anthology, the artists, especially the artists, I have to give a shout out to all of them, because not only did they provide amazing artwork, and some of them gave us full color artwork so that we could do these prints. Not only that, they gave it to us simply because we were putting together a Black anthology, and they were like, if you're going to do Black fantasy, you should have artwork to go with it, so that not only are you seeing yourself in the text, you're seeing yourself in the little artwork that goes along with it. And we have some amazing artwork, you guys. Like, I can't, it's all so good, and it's just like, I cannot pick a favorite. I cannot pick a favorite piece of art. And they're different styles, and it's different. It just, I'm rambling, but it comes together so beautifully. And the thing is, what's amazing, right, is the fact that the artwork, so much of the artwork complements the stories, and the artists and the authors did not coordinate any of this. It was just like, this is what I imagine when you have the theme of Black fantasy with no racial trauma, and so much of it just lined up perfectly with the stories. It's incredible. It's incredible how all this has come together. So I'm excited. I made my purchase a few days ago. That art is beautiful. Thank you guys so much for everybody who has gotten a copy. I'm ready to ship them out, y'all. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not even gonna lie. As an indie author, I had to purchase all of the books because I want the books to go out on time. So if you purchase early, your book is literally being printed and will be shipped here pretty soon in the next couple of weeks. If you are pre-ordering after that, you'll have to your book will be in the next shipment. But that being said, you guys, I have never ordered so many books at one time in my life. And it was exciting, but it's also humbling. And I was just so grateful for everyone who pre-ordered, because like, not only are y'all getting the books from us, but you're getting it from, like, other places are placing orders as well. So like, that's really dope. And also, we are officially on pre-order at Resist Booksellers, which again, as an indie author, is a huge achievement, like author achievement unlocked, because indie authors, it's hard enough to get into bookstores, like just in general, when you have a finished product, but we are on pre-order at a bookstore, which means they are like, yeah, we want to support you, and we are going to let people buy your book in advance from us. And that almost never happens for an indie author. So I'm really grateful, really excited. If you guys want to get into it, Resist Books, and it's a Black-owned bookstore. Literally everyone who touches and works with this project is a Black artist, creator, entrepreneur, supporter, and I live for that. I live for that because one of the things that I believe in wholeheartedly, as like not only a Black author, but like as a Black entrepreneur, I want to support other Black businesses. Like, I want to give them coins. I want to keep them in business. So being able to be like, hey, go to this Black bookstore, and we are also in discussion with other Black bookstores in different states to get the anthology in there. So it's not just like, oh, you have to be on the East Coast to get it in person. So hopefully those come through. If you guys are part of the After Chat, the Patreon, y'all will get updates for that first. You can also just join the channel as well. You don't have to join Patreon if you're like, I'm not going to check it, Chelsea. Like, it's fine. You just join the channel, and then you can also get access to the After Chat, whichever one makes you happy. And again, Ben coming through with a link. Y'all, he's amazing. He's great. So yeah, that's my slight plug for all of that. I just wanted to make sure that I told you guys about Resist Booksellers and the artwork, because when I tell you I was gorgeous in real life, it looks so much better in real life than I can show you on camera. It really does. It really does. So yeah, let's see here. I'm excited to read Magic in the Melanin. Recognize quite a few names there. Yeah, honestly, the authors who came through, it was just kind of like, wow, okay. And it's just, I kind of wish that we had been able to accept more authors, because we also had a lot of great stories, but we also had to limit it because we were like, we have to get this printed. We have to get this printed, and it's already a thick book. It's already a thick book, but it is definitely not the last anthology that we are planning to do. And honestly, because of how this has gone, you guys can rest assured that there are going to be a lot more things coming up in the future. Not just an anthology, but one of the things that we're heavily considering is doing an event. Because yeah. Oh, also, if you guys are on the East Coast, we are having a launch party release event at Resist Books in Petersburg, Virginia. It's going to be on Saturday, February 22nd, the Saturday after the release of the book. We are going to be there. It's going to be me and Lash, who is also another editor of the book. And I can also tell you that I've invited a couple of my other author friends, and they said they were going to be there too. So if there are any like Black author who you want to meet, it's likely that they will probably roll through at some point. So come through, support. Yeah. Also, Mags the writer has become a Melanin member of the channel. She has joined. Thank you so much. We appreciate you so much. Which means you also get access to the after chat that is coming up after this. So just so you guys know, when you join the channel, make sure that you connect your YouTube channel to your Discord. That's how you get access to the after chat Discord channel. If you have any questions, let me know and I will help you, but it's in your settings in Discord. Just make sure you connect the two and then you will get access to the after chat Discord channel. But welcome, love. Welcome to the after chat. So glad to have you. Also, there are 5 minutes before we sign off and switch to the after chat, so you guys still have time to join the channel, still have time to join the Patreon. Whatever feels good. No problem. I finally have the money. Thank you. I'm so excited. Yes to 2025 being the year of abundance and freeing up our coins. Absolutely. Love that. That being said, I think that's pretty much it. There are a couple of other things that I'm really excited about, but I think I'm going to save that for after chat because it's really still like in development, in talks. So this is your reminder to go ahead and get into it. Go ahead and join. And like I said, pre-order Magic and the Melanin. That's coming out 2 weeks, February 18th. Also, this is the hardcover version. So you have beautiful artwork underneath. And the back, I know this is backwards for you guys, but it says Black to the Spine. And I love this. I said it in passing a couple of times, and Tatiana was like, yeah, that's what we're doing. So shout out to Tatiana because she formatted the hardback, the cover for it. I mean, I formatted the interior. She formatted the exterior. Okay. I'm rambling for these last couple of minutes, but that's okay. But that's why y'all are here. But I really have to give a shout out to the editing team for the anthology, because when I tell you one of the reasons why I was nervous about doing an anthology in the first place is because I was like, this is a lot of work. Doing a book, an indie book, to a certain level of quality is a lot of work. Like, just straight up, you have to have timelines, you have to have time for editing, you have to have time for copy edits, you have to have time to read through everything, you have to have time for formatting, you have to put together press releases, you have to contact people. There are a lot of emails going back and forth. And then when you start talking about including 14 different people across time zones, across different lifestyles, and trying to make sure that everybody's on the same page at the same time, and you have information from people in a timely manner, and you're communicating all of this, you start talking about a monumental task, right? But I really have to give La and Tatiana their flowers, because when I tell you, first of all, they kept me from going insane. That is a huge ask. That is a huge ask, right? But also, they really picked up the slack where I was just like, I can't do this. So I didn't feel like I had to do all this by myself. So, and Celeste was really great as well, because she did all the artwork. She did the artwork. She did the scene breaks for the cover. So it's just like the team really came together, and seeing that was just, I don't know. It's just the kind of thing that makes you feel good. You know, it makes you feel good on the inside. So I want you guys to know that a lot of love and hard work went into this. And every time you guys pre-order it or tell somebody about it, I appreciate it. Last thing, we do have a giveaway running for the anthology. So if you want a copy of the hardcover, all you have to do is post about the anthology somewhere on the internet, and then send us the link in our form. And that's it. That's it. And then once the book comes out on the 21st, we are going to pick a winner, and they are going to get a hard copy. I will sign it. You will also get the artwork that comes with it. So if you want to win a copy, tell somebody about the anthology on the internet and send us a link. So yeah. But that being said, let's see, finishing up repainting the living room walls. Dope. This was an amazing conversation. Take care, Chelsea, Benjamin, and everyone. Yes. And it is now 11:59, which means we are moving over to the after chat, which is the chat after the chat, which is for grown folks. So if you want to know what's going on with the Melanin Library and get into the conversation, feel free to come join us over in the after chat. Join the channel, join the Patreon, whatever makes you happy. Again, thank you to Max the writer for joining us. And yeah, that is it, you guys. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Melanin Chat. And until next time, I hope your days are lovely and your books are interesting. Bye.